All right, man, peace. You know, brothers, LeBron James is going to be a very interesting athlete to evaluate, especially down the stretch of his career, particularly at the very end. How are people going to view LeBron James? Is he going to be viewed as the Babe Ruth of basketball? We know the answer to that is no. That's Michael Jordan. So who exactly is he? Will he be considered the Henry Aaron of basketball? A player who had great longevity, is going to have a whole bunch of records, but maybe people are not going to associate him, at least in their mind's eye, as being the greatest thing that they've ever seen because he's not particularly exciting to watch. Now, I'm sure to his younger fanboys, they're going to say, what are you talking about? LeBron James can do everything on the floor. Well, for those of us who were blessed enough to see Magic Johnson and Larry Bird and Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, other great players who were far more highly skilled than LeBron James and far more nuanced, we know what the deal is when it comes to overall skill level. Now, I give LeBron the credit that he deserves for being a great player, for trying his best on both ends, especially in the biggest games and the biggest moments. But there are certain things that he lacks, and I think that that contributes to even his own perception that he is not given the quote-unquote respect that he thinks he deserves. This is a player who has over 30+ thousand points. He's won 4 championships. He has 4 finals MVPs. He has 4 regular season MVPs. And after he wins his 4th championship last year in the NBA's Black Lesbian Matter bubble tournament, he says, I want my damn respect. Now, what all-time great player has ever said that? And what did LeBron James actually mean when he said that? Is he saying that he believes that he gets no respect? Or does he truly believe that he's not receiving the type of respect that he believes he deserves? That being that he should be declared the greatest player ever. So it's something that needs to be evaluated, especially down the stretch of LeBron's career. I look at him more, honestly, as a Pete Rose, Hank Aaron type, who just accumulates stats by prolonging his career. He is great. He's one of the greatest ever. But is he the greatest? No. Will he ever be the greatest? No. I think that he's someone who takes advantage of the fact that he's larger than most of the players in the NBA. The league right now is a stretch 4 league. It's a spread the defense out league. Basically, you beat one man off the dribble and you're at the cup. I think that his career would have been over probably 3 or 4 years ago if he played in an era where the paint was more packed, because we know that he's not a good jump shooter. He's streaky. There are certain games where he can be very potent from the outside when he's hot. But in general, there are spots where we know he does not want to shoot. For example, he does not want to shoot on the right side of the basketball floor, especially if he's on the move, if he's dribbling. He wants to shoot on the left side. He wants to post you up and do that move where he does the shoulder fake and then tries to fade away, his little goofy version of the dream shake or the Michael Jordan fade away. So his offense is very limited. And that brings us to the point of this video. There recently was a survey given in which many notable figures surrounding the NBA were asked who do they believe the top pure scorers in the NBA are. And LeBron James finished 10th. Not 10th all time, but 10th amongst modern NBA players, which is shocking. That you have a guy who, once again, who scored over 30,000 points, is this season averaging 25, 8, and 8, as Shannon Sharp loves to say incessantly. But he's not even considered a top 10 pure scorer in the NBA. What are they really saying? What they're really saying is that they don't respect his offensive repertoire. So anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
To determine who is the NBA's purest scorer, a poll of 30 different NBA coaches, former players, and execs was done by The Athletic. Kevin Durant ran away with the top spot, receiving 20 of the 30 first-place votes. LeBron came in 10th overall, but didn't receive a single vote other than 4th and only had 2 top 5 votes overall. So, Shannon, what does this tell you?
What that tells me is that LeBron James is going to go down as being one of the great stat patters of all time, but he's never going to be regarded as one of the most skilled players ever.
It tells me that people don't look at LeBron as a scorer, even though his scoring averages, he and Kevin Durant are right there. Kevin Durant is 27.1, LeBron is 27.0. LeBron has the 5th highest scoring average in NBA history. But because his game is so well-rounded, he does so many other things other than score.
No, not quite, sir. The reason why he's so, I won't say disrespected, but maybe not reckoned when it comes to being a pure scorer is because people are assessing his offensive repertoire, how awkward he looks, the lack of grace. LeBron is not very he's not very pleasing to watch. There are certain players that you watch and you're like, wow, this guy's very smooth, he's very graceful. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. There was a certain grace to Larry Bird's game because of the economy in which he was able to score on the floor. He knew what spot he wanted to get to and what move he wanted to do depending on where he was on the floor. Bernard King was that way as well. Very efficient. LeBron James does not have that. LeBron James looks like someone who is big and blocky and clunky, but has done his best to refine himself. Almost like a Frankenstein monster who's learned how to ballroom dance.
People don't look at him as just a scorer. Skip, if you look at 25 and 7 seasons, LeBron has 12 of those. The next closest is Oscar Robertson with 9. Jordan has
what you're talking about
points. 25 points, 25 points, 7 assists or more.
Right, but Shannon Sharp, the question is not about who brings the most to the offensive table. Shannon gets so defensive about LeBron because he can't fathom why people don't see what he sees in LeBron. Like when he looks at LeBron, he sees perfection. Other people look at LeBron and they see all the flaws in his offensive game. The topic is about him being a pure scorer. The topic is not about who brings the most offensively. I've always stated that LeBron James is just Oscar Robertson 2.0. And you see the two names that Shannon Sharp brings up are LeBron and Oscar Robertson when it comes to who's had the most 25 point per game, 7 assists per game seasons. But that's not what they're evaluating. What they're evaluating is the lack of diversity in his offensive skill set. It had nothing to do with his other responsibilities on the offensive side of the floor.
You got it. All right.
LeBron has 12 of those. Oscar has 9.
Yeah.
Jordan has 1. Kevin Durant doesn't have any.
Yeah.
So it just...
Right, but what does that mean? Like, Shannon's always trying to find a way to make LeBron look good at the expense of Jordan and Kevin Durant. Jordan and Kevin Durant were not asked to do those things because they actually participate in the offense. They're not the offense itself. LeBron is the offense itself. That's how he has to be. That's how he's always had to be. He can't deal with it if a play is rant and it's not for him. He doesn't know what to do.
To show you, plus he's also a career 27 and 7 guy, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. There have been very few guys that have been asked to do what LeBron is asked to do.
Right, but is LeBron being asked to do those things, or is it that he can't function unless he's doing those things? We saw what happened his first year in Miami when he was not given the captaincy in the offense. He basically flamed out in the biggest moments. So D Wade had to come to him and say, you know what, we're going to let you basically run the team. I'm going to let you be the quote-unquote alpha with me here behind you, almost like a parent who's guiding their child on a bicycle with training wheels. And then the training wheels come up and the parent lets the bicycle seat go, and suddenly the child is riding the bike by himself and he doesn't know it. That's what D Wade did for LeBron. So this notion that LeBron is always asked to do more than all these other athletes, no, he's not. He has not shown that he's capable of being in an offense that actually requires him to do something off the ball. Until recently, he's gotten better with that. In Miami, he learned how to play in an offense that was a little bit more equal opportunity because Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley had to break him into playing in a real offense incrementally because he had no idea how to do it. Everything with him in Cleveland the first time around, everything had to run through him. That's how he became such a spoiled brat in the first place.
Or normally score, Skip, that's what they do. They score the basketball. They put the ball in the hole at a very, very high clip. But LeBron, not only can he score the ball, but because that's not all he does, it goes unnoticed at how efficiently he does that. So the 7 assists, the 7 rebounds. So for me, Skip, it just Kevin and look, I don't want people to think that Kevin Durant is not electric. But if you tell me a score, I'll take James Harden. And just pure score, just scoring the basketball, I'll take.
Well, it depends on what the scenario is. If you're saying regular season, I might take James Harden also. Because KD's not going to go out there and go for 60. James Harden will. But in the playoffs, KD's offensive mentality is purer than James's. James is always looking for the foul call. Now, to his credit, since I've seen him with the Nets, he's done that a lot less. He's gone to the basket trying to score more, and he's been more authoritative in his moves. In Houston, he had a lot of snake oil salesmen going on with him. Like, he was always looking for the refs to bail him out. And when that mentality tried to carry over into the playoffs, he would always come up short because they allow more physicality. KD has the basketball, he's just trying to get buckets. So that mentality translates better into the postseason. So if you're going to ask me who's the better scorer when it comes to accumulating points, then yes, it's probably James Harden. But when it comes to diversity of offensive moves and repertoire and the authenticity of his offensive mentality, it's KD.
It's hard to be anybody that's currently playing because that step back three, the floater getting to the lane, and then what does he do, Skip? Get his butt, park his butt on the free throw line. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So as far as pure score, I would take James Harden over anybody currently. That's not a knock on Kevin Durant because he is a great scorer. But I think the reason why LeBron didn't get the number of people don't view him as a scorer is because he does so many other things other than just score. LeBron is not going to have a 40-point game with 2 assists and 2 rebounds. LeBron games are normally what, Skip? 48 and 8, 40-point triple-double. So it just goes unnoticed. But they don't tell me we know what GOAT is. He's still the GOAT. He's still the GOAT.
You better believe that, Skip. Ask me these dumbass questions. Having me defend my family like this every day.
He can't shoot, but he's the GOAT.
Stop saying that. How the hell you get average 27 points a game when you can't shoot?
I'm about to explain. So, Kevin...
Because they let LeBron James play out there like he's Jim Brown. That's why. They let him lower his damn shoulder and do that same awkward-ass reverse pivot spin move and get layups. That's why. If the ref started calling him for charges, you see that point per game drop down to about 15 points per game from 27.
Durant is the best pure scorer in the game because he can get you 30 on 12 shots. He's
agreed.
Efficient.
What's efficient? I'm just going James Harden is just pure score.
Okay, but James is not as efficient as that because he can't do what KD
No,
does.
he don't shoot the ball.
You don't even know KD's out there sometimes, and you look up and say, he's already got 24 points. Where did those come from?
Absolutely. That man KD will be out there, go 9 for 12 from the field. 5 of them will be 3-pointers. Go on the free throw line, make about 12 free throws. Next thing you know, this nigga got 31, 32 points on 12 or 13 shots. You're like, damn, how the hell did he do that?
Because he can shoot those mid-range J's. He can shoot 3.
And that's what makes him the best offensive player in the NBA. This notion that the mid-range is dead is a pure fallacy. All of the best offensive players have to learn to dominate the mid-range game because that is the most unstoppable portion on the NBA offensive floor. Any player who can hit the mid-range is going to be unstoppable, especially in the playoffs. That's why I look at guys like a Devin Booker. He can make major hay in the playoffs because of his mid-range. He and his teammate Chris Paul. Kawhi Leonard, great mid-range game. KD, great mid-range game. Kyrie, great mid-range game. You need that in the playoffs. This analytical bullshit about just taking layups and threes, teams never win championships that way and have never won a championship that way. Not even Golden State. Golden State had great mid-range shooters when they won their championships. On the first chip, it was Harrison Barnes. On the next 2 chips, it was KD making mid-range jump shots.
He's a 50, 40, 90 guy, 50% of the field, 40 from 3 and 90 from the free throw line. And he'll just go routinely to the free throw line, and suddenly you look up and he's 10 for 10 from the free throw line. They add up. If LeBron James, I said this from day one, if he could have improved his free throw shooting up toward 90%, he'd already be knocking on Kareem's all-time door.
If he'd just been...
Oh, hell no. If LeBron had been a 90% free throw shooter, he probably have 40,000 points by now.
He'd be at 37,000, over 37,000 points right now.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But if you get up toward 90, like Jordan was 85 and Kobe is 85, you could, and KD is always pushing 90. Well, if you could do that, it'd be over already.
Yeah.
So to me, it's a minor miracle that LeBron James can do everything that he does and still score. But he scores in very different ways than Kevin Durant scores.
Right.
What do I always call him? Greatest driver of the basketball ever. To this,
I'm not quite sure about that, but I understand why you say it. It's because of LeBron's physique. He can take that pounding going to the basket, and then on top of that, in this era, where everybody's so light in the ass, there are very few players in the NBA who are as big and as strong as LeBron. Very few who are willing to take any type of physical contact from him. In this era where, you know, a lot of the centers are built in a very slight way and things of that sort. So I understand why Skip says that. But to me, the best driver of the basketball that I've seen is without a doubt Michael Jordan. And, you know, you also have Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving is an incredible driver of the basketball. Kobe Bryant, maybe like his first 7 to 8 years in the league. Dwayne Wade, Allen Iverson. I think all of those guys were better drivers of the basketball than LeBron James. I just think that LeBron is bigger and stronger than most of those guys, and his body is built to endure a lot of the pounding of going to the basket better than those guys' bodies were.
You cannot keep LeBron James from the rim because he's 6'9". What are we giving now? 260-ish, somewhere in that range?
No, Skip. Last time we weighed him last night was 257 and 1/4 pounds of pure unadulterated muscle.
Nah, he went pescatarian.
Did he? And
No,
Yeah, Skip. We just eat fish. You know, we want to get his weight down to around 251 and a half.
And he weighs what?
250,
255, 260. Let's call him 260. 6'9", 260, and he's still explosively quick at that size.
Yeah.
So much that anytime he wants to, he will get to the rim. It's the equivalent of playing bully ball because usually he can just bully whoever. There's nobody who can guard him on most teams who can match up physically.
Well, I think that the real issue is that most of these guys don't want to match up with him mentally. As I've already stated, I watched the Laker versus Golden State game the other night, and the Golden State Warriors had this little white kid named Nico Mannion who was able to stop LeBron from driving to the basket a couple of times just because he was willing to move his feet, and you could see he was willing to take the charge. And LeBron got frustrated and started to call for picks. You know, so you can guard LeBron, you just have to have courage. Like if Dennis Rodman guarded LeBron, he would get him so frustrated. Dennis used to get so many guys frustrated back in the 90s because he was willing to sacrifice his body. Whether it was Shaq, Alonzo Mourning, Patrick Ewing, Anthony Mason. A lot of those guys would get frustrated because Dennis would take the charge. He would move his feet and he would not give up drives to the basket.
Physicality of it. And I'm not saying he is a bully by nature. He just is, like, I spell his name sometimes. It's not LeBron, B-R-O-N. It's B-R-A-W-N as in Braun, because he is.
Yeah.
He is football player built. He is weight room built. So he can get to...
LeBron be cracking me up, though. Because the dude walk out there all muscled up. And you watch his workout videos and he's squatting 135 pounds. And dude in the workout room making all them feminine poses when he's squatting and shit. I'm like, whoa, what type of bullshit is this that LeBron is doing? Then the man walk out on the floor brolic as hell.
And score so easily, quickly, just by dunking or laying it off the glass.
He got Magic Johnson handled with Karl Malone's body.
He does. He has Karl Malone's body for sure.
Yeah.
And they're both...
I'm not quite sure if he can handle as well as Magic Johnson, but I understand where you're going with it.
The same,
Yeah.
about the same size.
250. Yeah.
I would agree with that. And yet he's going to get to the free throw line, and he's just he's a below average 3-point shooter, but he's what, career 34%. He's taken higher volume now. He's down to 35%. But the combination of all the above make him a high volume scorer.
Right.
Where he's going to continue to average what Kevin Durant averages because Kevin can't get to the rim like this.
Right.
No, nor does he want to. Kevin does not want to get to the rim like LeBron James. He wants to sit out there in the mid-range and the long range, and every once in a while penetrate to get to the cup, try to sneak in layups, you know, hopefully beat the defender to the basket. He doesn't want that wanton contact.
Because he's not physical enough.
Right.
He's still beam Polish, you know, like he's still skinny Kevin, right?
But Skip, remember,
He's stronger than he looks, though.
a couple of years ago, LeBron was 27, 8, and 8. He put two of those seasons together, and only Russ, Harden, and Jordan had ever done it, but nobody had done it after the age of 30. He did it twice.
Yeah.
He's getting 25, 7, and 7, and nobody's ever done that after the age of 30. That's what he's doing. But because he's doing so many other things well, you just don't look at him. Nobody's ever looked at it as like, Bron just scored. Because he's rebounding the ball, Skip. He might get you 13 to 14 assists. He might get you 12, 13 rebounds. That's not what we see from KD. That's not what we see from the other scorers. And what makes James Harden so unique, James Harden gets you 60 points in a triple-double. He'll get you 50 points in a triple-double. Now, when Russ was going through his streak of all those triple-double, Skip. He can get you 40, 50 in a triple-double. But as far as LeBron, I just don't think people view him. People don't realize LeBron James is a 27-point-a-night scorer, Skip, for a career.
Okay, but in this list, he comes in 10th.
Yes.
Among.
Once again, I don't think that either one of these guys realize why he was voted so low. What the players and coaches are saying is that he does not have many offensive moves. That's really what they're saying. And in a league like this, the current NBA, where very few teams are willing to play real defense, he's going to be able to get his points whenever he wants to. Back in the day, though, he would have been contested. There's a reason why he's had multiple finals shooting under 40%. I think he shot under 40% against the Spurs in 07, and he may have shot under 40% in another finals, if I remember correctly. Either way, yeah, I think in 2015 against the Warriors. When you're really D-up on LeBron, you can stop him. You can slow him down. It's just you have to commit on defense.
Scores. This is the guy who's starting to get into the ballpark of the greatest scoring in the history of basketball.
It's like Tom.
Well, the most prolific. I would not call him the greatest scorer. He's the most prolific.
When it comes to the best pure throwers of the football, he's never in the top 5. It's who you go with. Aaron Rodgers. Talk about Dan Marino. You talk about Patrick Mahomes. But
you're talking about spectacular throwing.
But
I think pure throwing, Brady's right there with anybody.
No.
I would agree with that.
Triple throwing.
No.
Yes.
But Skip, you keep on telling me that what he can't do. All I know is that he just keep getting these 20. He just keep getting 27 a night.
Can I say nicely that he's a below average shooter? Is that fair?
Yeah, Skip. If you want Skip, you want the man to have everything.
Well, again, what do I call LBJ? LB no J? Because most of the time it's no J.
So you
scored all.
I wonder where Kyrie Irving finished on that list of NBA's best pure scorers. I would guess that he's top 5.
You want the People magazine sexiest man alive to also be the richest man alive.
Yeah, Skip Baylor. I mean, shit. There's only so many gifts the Most High can give a man. Look at LeBron. 6'8.5", 255.5 pounds of pure sexual chocolate. Best basketball player ever lived, best athlete ever lived. And you wonder why he can't shoot from 40 feet. I mean, damn, thank God he can, Skip Baylor.
Never gonna happen, Skip. I'm sorry. That's not gonna happen.
Well, the basketball gods were good in one big capacity, and that is he is the most durable superstar athlete in the history of sports.
Can you say 40, 10, and
You better believe it, Skip Baylor. In the X-Men remake, he's playing Wolverine. He already had the healing factor, Skip.
40,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, 10,000 assists. Book it.
10,000 games.
Get him, Skip.
Yeah.
Even Shannon had to laugh at that one. Even Shannon knows Skip is right on that one. This nigga playing 10,000 games to break all these records.
The tournament at this point.
Ain't no 10,000 games.
Still need to talk about this,
He's
guys.
played
Was the
10,000.
All-Star Weekend's biggest...
But anyway, that's basically it on that, brothers. We'll see how things go over the course of this season. LeBron James is going to have to show that he is a great pure scorer if he hopes to win another championship. At least barring injury of any of the other more prominent players on the other teams. So peace.